Greetings, Guardians, my name is Byfear. So, despite the gloomy current state of Destiny's, well, almost everything, there is a lot of reasons actually for us to be hopeful that the next season is going to be really good. With the exception of the seasonal finale having some moments that absolutely should have been in cutscenes instead of in a lore tab, the story of Season of the Witch was actually generally really good, and I feel like the consensus is quietly that this was actually a pretty good season, even if the overall state of Destiny is not great. With the Season of the Wish focusing around the Ahamkara and their powerful ability to bend reality, there is a chance for a ton of knock-on effects in the world of Destiny that will lead to interesting future stories. Today I wanted to talk about those knock-on effects a little bit and explain their implications for the future should they happen. But first, this video is sponsored by Geology, who set out to help you do one thing and one thing only, and that's get your skincare right. Speaking from experience, I will be completely honest, keeping up with a good routine for everything is way too complicated. There are so many different products to consider, there are dozens of different things you're looking for, and frankly, I haven't got a clue what to do with half of it. This has been a mess for me for nearly 30 years of my life, and that's where Geology can help untangle the whole mess. Now, with sponsors like this one, there are these moments where you explicitly must mention certain things, and this isn't actually on the product brief and the must mention part of this sponsor, but I'm going to show it to you anyway because I think it's actually the most important part. It's their diagnostics quiz. Basically, this is the reason why any of this functions. You take 30 seconds and just input what your goals are, and a few questions about your skin will come up that you can answer. You will then go ahead and get products recommended to you based on your needs, and it creates a specific routine for you, including a few products. That's why I think this works. It helps untangle the mess. And if you jump in with me, we'll be going on this skincare journey together because I'm using some of their product now. That being said, we're definitely not the first. Geology has 7,000 5-star reviews, and it gets nods from Men's Health and various other health awards. The routines are not complicated thanks to that personalized process I was talking about, and Geology prides itself on delivering real results, and efficacy is at the heart of their products. So go ahead and try it out today. Use code BYFE100 or click the link in the description to see more. Thanks to Geology for sponsoring this video. Anyway, back to the lore. So the return of the Ahamkara is more than just a revival of an extinct species. It represents the return of a unique kind of danger to the system, and that danger is of course wish magic. Put simply, just being in the presence of an Ahamkara means that you're projecting your desires onto the universe for them to feed upon. This not only gives Ahamkara their sustenance, but also has the knock-on effect of potentially allowing them to change the universe according to your desires. Absent-minded thoughts around an Ahamkara are a dangerous thing. Expect this topic to come up for certain. This will be the topic of the Season of the Wish for a while. Now, as it so happens, Mara Sov knew this, and she came up with an answer to this problem of desires being twisted. Instead of having a wish being determined by the broad scale of one's desires, as portrayed in emotion and projected on the world, Mara determined that wish magic could be used more effectively and more accurately if the desires of the person were communicated more accurately themselves. And this is where the Wall of Wishes comes in. A system of 20 plates with 17 individual inputs per plate, including the blank inputs. The 17 inputs make up a unique visual language across the 20 plates, and this is a distinct language that is only found on the Wall of Wishes. I don't remember how many combinations there are, but suffice to say, it's a lot. Like, you could still be inputting them if you inputted 1 per second, which is not how long it would take, and you would be basically there until the end of human civilization. So, yeah, it's a lot of potential wishes. This is a big visual language. That being said, using this language, one can input a more specific wish. It's this process that will most definitely be taking part in next season, and I would bet my bottom dollar that the wishing wall is going to be part of a seasonal activity, where the new wishes that we might gain will be part of the visual language that we'll input for either different rewards or different encounters, or something else. Before we proceed, let's actually read a little bit of lore about the Wishing Wall from the perspective of Riven. This lore can be found in the Helm of the Great Hunt, the Titan armor set. It reads as follows. I wish to be strategic. The Queen would like to improve her means of bargaining with me. She has implied that I use the space between words to make bargains to my advantage. How dare she? She knows me so well. What the Queen wants, the Techeuns move worlds to obtain, and so the witches devise an impossible machine that speaks a visual language with very few spaces between its words. This machine speaks wishes, makes bargains. The Wall of Wishes, it is called. If the Techeuns' design proves correct, it will be difficult for me to interpret the wishes made at the wall to my advantage. But challenges entice me. I look upon the wall, upon the witch's visual language for bargains. For me, it is a menu of delights to feast upon. I figured it would be worth highlighting something here because if you've actually looked at that lore tab, you'll notice that it and any other lore tabs where Riven is talking about her direct experiences, they're going to have these weird square brackets in it. Now, this is nothing that can be easily confirmed, it's something that I've inferred, and also something that I've spoken with various people about within the lore community. Take my word that when you see something in square brackets, it is Riven's interpretation of it. Riven is using the closest analogy to those words, but the word itself may have a different meaning for the Ahamkara as they're using it. It's just a way of communicating it to us, but it's something that's being communicated because her perspective as an alien dragon is different from ours. This is something that we'll expand upon if it becomes relevant, but essentially, ignore it for now and know that it is simply a way of saying that there are more than one ways to describe whatever's in the square brackets. For example, the Queen is clearly Mara Sov in this instance, but she may be more than simply the Queen. Either way, that lore tab adequately describes the process of using the Wishing Wall. The visual language created by the Techeuns is specifically inputted and a more precise wish is then communicated to the Ahamkara who might be granting wishes at this point. In every instance that it's been used, this has been a wish towards Riven. This allows the wisher to input something that is less likely to be twisted, and if I had to put my bottom dollar on it, I would say that this is where the seasonal mechanic is going to come into play, narratively. I bet that we will find special wishes beyond everything that we've already inputted, and that it will help us grow our new little dragon friend. But the thing about this visual language is that whilst it does limit the damage that wishes can do, and it allows more specific wishes to be made, it doesn't completely erase the possibility for harm. Riven in that lore tab delights at the potential banquet of wishes and bargains that she might feast upon and twist, given that the space between her words allowed her to make interesting bargains before, and this is simply a more challenging version of that. This is important because, though it might be a challenge, it's clear that using the Wishing Wall still leads to a chance of one's wishes being exploited, and that may take some time for a new Ahamkara to figure out, but they will figure it out in the end. That small chance is something we're going to be contending with en masse for months. Remember that thousands of Guardians will be making wishes to the Wishing Wall, and the Ahamkara who grants any of these wishes will grow more powerful as time goes on. Imagine what it was like to have 6 paracausal godslayers wishing to Riven so that she would ultimately find her destruction. We wished hard, and ultimately, we created the curse on the Dreaming City. Now imagine exposing an Ahamkara to that kind of power consistently for months on end. That's going to be something which charges the power of an Ahamkara to new heights, and terrifying ones at that. There is a significant amount of strength that will be required though, because of course, ultimately we need their power in order to gain ingress into the heart of the Traveler, the Pale Heart. From such small things, a lot of compounding strength can be built. I think this is where the Season of the Wish really has its chance to be a major turning point for Destiny's story. Even if the return of the Ahamkara is short-lived and only lasts for this one season, I believe that there's potential for enough interactions between us and the Wish Dragon to see those wishes spiral out of control as they did in the Great Hunt. Of course, we don't know this yet because we haven't played or received the season, but these wishes could lead to bigger implications just like they've done before. We went into how the Great Hunt and the wishes made there spiraled out of control recently, and the events that occurred were pretty dramatic. I speculated, and I think I'm not alone in this, that Praedyth being lost in the Vault of Glass was actually thanks partly to wish magic from an Ahamkara. This isn't the only thing I talked about in my last big video where I talked about all the stories of the Great Hunt though. I also discussed how potentially Saladin's wish to fight a massive dragon and to be the thing that he slayed might have actually led to the death of the Iron Lords. An out-of-the-box theory, but, you know, it's worth considering the danger that someone puts the rest of their companions in when they're around a wish dragon. And then of course there's the really out-of-the-box possibilities, which I don't necessarily know to be true at all, such as the idea that potentially the Sunbreaker's elimination by the Red Legion was a knock-on effect made by figures such as Oros and Liu Fang. If that is the case, well, the Wish Dragons have had their hands in a demise of a number of Guardians. I stress that the word there is might, but, you know, it's tricky business dealing with wishes, you can never be sure. Damning as some of those wishes might have been, in other instances, there is also a great degree of power to be gained from wishes if they're done successfully. Take a look at Eris Morn. She wished, and ultimately it led to her survival and the downfall of the greatest hive leaders by proxy. Wish magic is potent and far-reaching, and this is why I think Season of the Wish has some major chances to show this off. We might not see the knock-on effects of these wishes for a long time, but equally, I think that it might be possible for some characters to wish for things that might change the entire nature of the story going forward for themselves and for vast swaths of Earth and Sol's population. I want to go ahead and give 3 wild and speculative examples, and keep in mind I say wild and speculative because none of this can be confirmed until the story passes, and it's literally just me spitballing. The examples of characters that could change the world by wishing are Mithrax, Mara, and Zavala. For Mithrax, there is a simple, clear factor that truly drives him. Deeper than his role as the Kell of the House of Light, deeper than his protection that he buys for his house with his own duty and his own actions, is the undying commitment that he has to his daughter and the future that he hopes to build for her. Interacting properly or even improperly with a wish dragon might end up leading to consequences for Mithrax, his daughter, and the whole of the Eliksni people. I might imagine that a wish for Mithrax would be as simple as, I wish for my daughter to see a bright future for her and her people. I could imagine a wish dragon manipulating that wish and using it to create circumstances by which Sieur Aido dies and then is resurrected as the first Eliksni Guardian. Insane possibility, I know, but understand that such circumstances would potentially bring about a bright future. An Eliksni Guardian who could wield the light would easily fulfill the prophecy of the Kell of Kells, the one that the Great Machine would listen to, the one who would unite the Eliksni people and would give them a place and purpose amongst the stars again. It may be a simple idea, but you can understand how such a twisted vision of the future can arise because of a wish that Mithrax might make. Then let's take a look across at the Awoken, at Mara Sov. For her, she has 2 very simple desires. Riven was able to deduce them when she first met Mara. The first is that she should have a unique source of power with which to defend her people, the power that she wished to place at the heart of the Dreaming City, the city that she would build for them. This would ultimately end up being the Ahamkara, and Riven would potentially, if I read the lore correctly and if my speculation is true, would look to supplant all other Ahamkara to become. The second thing that Mara truly desires was someone to love, in particular, Sieur Aido. There was one moment when Riven met Mara at first where a break was detected between the universe as is and the universe as she wanted it to be, and that was in the moment when it was made clear that if she became a god, Sieur Aido could not truly love her. This is something which I think Riven has easily fed on, and it's also something which hints at Mara's current and potential only weakness, the only thing that she might truly wish for. Sieur's disappearance is something that has troubled Mara for a long time. and if she were to help feed the wish dragons with such a wish, it would be a feast unlike anything any wish dragon has ever seen, one that might potentially lead to the return of Sieur Aido, and something that might herald a great disaster. It's not known why she disappeared, but it's clear that the Nine were involved. I imagine that similar to the Drifter, it's possible that Mara might see someone they care about being turned into another tool of the Nine. Then again, it's entirely possible that with the Awoken Queen being able to be patient and powerful in her own right, she might simply be able to enact this wish without much penalty, allowing Sieur Aido to return, and for her to finally have reality as desired. After all, maybe this is the bargaining chip that Mara sought. It should be remembered that Sieur Aido is one of the most infamous hunters of Ahamkara outside of the Guardian ranks, and her skill with a longbow is legendary. She's even felled Lord Shaxx. It would be foolish to underestimate her. And then finally, there is our own commander, Zavala, who might wish for the return of dear old friends. It's clear that he is still somewhat shaken by the death of Amanda Holliday, which he sees as the Traveler rejecting humanity and refusing to pay any heed to our suffering collectively. Sloane's return has bolstered his spirits somewhat, but he is still in a precarious position as one whose desires might be easily morphed. Whilst I don't foresee this leading to the return of his adoptive family, I do wonder if it might be a case that we would see Amanda Holliday brought back from the dead as a guardian. This was the long-time speculation of a bunch of different people, and it's something which has been continually hinted at by the various lines of sacrifice leads to death, which have always kind of circled Amanda ever since the Season of Defiance. And if Zavala's wish is as simple as to be reunited with old friends, who knows? Maybe this is the reason we see Cayde return. The point I'm trying to make with all of these different examples is this. The narrative team here has a chance to plant some awesome seeds for future story moments. Destiny is at a massive turning point, and whilst the final shape is something which allows us to focus on the immediate end of a 10-year saga, this is their last moment to really set up new stories that will go beyond the final shape. If Bungie wants to keep players around beyond that last expansion, it needs to start laying the foundations for what comes next. Wish magic might just be a neat narrative tool that helps pave the way, and after all, if something remarkable does happen, like Aido being turned into the first Eliksni Guardian, or the return of Mara's lover, Sieur Aido, or perhaps the resurrection of Cayde or Amanda Holliday, these are story beats that might lead us into a new direction, but they're not the only things that might happen. After all, it was made clear that Keitel and her Cabal have a vested interest in gaining some kind of upper hand on Xivu Arath. It was declared that if we attempted to take the Ahamkara egg by force, that Immaru should leave it with Keitel's forces. That was Savathun's plan. So who knows what they're going to do now that they know that they have this massive repository of paracausal force at their disposal. It's something that could leave the Cabal people in a grave amount of danger, but Keitel, headstrong as she is, might actually believe that it's the way forward. Who knows? Either way, let me know what you think down below in the comments section. And if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you want more Destiny lore content from Season of the Wish and Final Shape, go ahead and hit subscribe and the bell next to subscribe to turn on those email notifications. But as per usual, know that your viewership as always is quite enough for me, and that in the meantime, my name is Byf. Por audacia ad astra. I'll see you, Starside.